In this edition of our off-road camper build, I'm going to tell you why, in my opinion, this pintle hook is not suitable for the application and possibly downright dangerous. Stay tuned. Hi guys, my name's Daryl and welcome to this edition of our off-road camper build. Now, when I first looked into these number 5 trailers as a possible chassis for this off-road camper build, there was a whole heap of people that told me about pintle hooks and how great they are. However, in actual use I've found some drawbacks that in my opinion are rather unsafe, and some of that could be related to the vehicle that you're towing with, but let's have a look at that. Now, over the years I've had a whole heap of trailers, and they've been boat trailers, box trailers, of varying descriptions. The ones that have towed really nice have been the dual axle trailers. The single axle ones, you always get pitch and yaw, and whilst the dual axle ones, they don't get so much pitch. So they're a nice thing to tow, however, they're heavy. And when I've got 900 kilos towing capacity to play with on the Jeep, they're really not an option when you're looking at a camper trailer of such. So we're stuck with the single axle trailer with the dramas that come along with it. Now, pictures where you're going along like a boat going through waves, and the front of the drawbar goes up and down, so the trailer goes like that. Yaw is where you get it wags its tail and it sways from side to side. And what I've noticed going along in this is that I'll hit a bump and I can notice the front of the trailer going sideways slightly, and it was quite off-putting in the beginning because it's like, this should not be happening. And I've taken some footage of the pintle hook, and it's the pintle hook. There's play sideways, and you can see it as you're driving along. When the vehicle is being pulled, it's not too bad, but any bump it hits, the actual front drawbar moves sideways slightly. And if you look at the footage that I've taken, it's constantly happening as the vehicle goes along, and it just produces undesirable handling characteristics in the trailer. The pintle hook, in my opinion, in this application is no good. They were made originally, this trailer chassis, for Land Rovers, short wheelbase Land Rovers, and the short drawbar and the like were made so that the trailer would follow in the Land Rover's tyre imprints as it went along and around corners. That's not so important when we're trying to get good handling characteristics on the road. And with most of the guys that get these off-road trailers, they're automatically extending the drawbars and putting on a different hitch, or just extending the drawbar. Normally when you extend the drawbar, most trailers behave better behind a vehicle. However, not wanting just to take people's word for it, I thought, I'm going to change the hitch, because I think the hitch is a really bad thing in this application, especially with the softness of the Jeep, because the Jeep moves a lot, whereas a leaf spring Land Rover doesn't move as much, and you may not have the dramas with the Land Rover that you do with this. So let's look at the footage that I've taken of the pintle connection. There's a lot of the time this thing's sort of moving at the front of the drawbar. It's pivoting on its axis and it's moving sort of, 20 mils over or something before the actual pintle hook on the Jeep grabs the pintle ring again and says, no, you're not going there, you're going this way. So with this pintle ring, what do we replace it with? A lot of guys would use a DO35 because that's the state of the art hitch to have at the moment. For me to put a DO35 on this, most guys would then take the opportunity to extend the drawbar and put a mount on the bespoke mount so the DO35 can mount on it. Or if you undo all these nuts, the pintle ring comes off this, and then they'll make a plate with a 90-degree bend in that they'll mount the DO35 to. There's another option, and because this is a lightweight camper, there's a company called Treg which has made off-road hitches for years, and years ago they were the current state-of-the-art DO35, I suppose. However, they've lost favour in recent years, and a lot of that is because guys with heavier campers with a much heavier ball weight than this find slipping the pin in and out of them difficult. With the lightweight campers, I don't see an issue. I've used them before on a cub camper that I hired for a weekend to see what they were like, and they seem to work fine. So luckily Treg do a bolt-in solution for this number 5 hitch, and basically it's, you know, your poly block or whatever it's made out of, that rotates because it's an off-road hitch. It's got a sleeve through it. That's your connector to your car. You slip that over there. There's a big pin that goes through here. Some of the downsides of this hitch that the pin can be hard to take in and out. Again, that's mainly with the heavier ball weight campers. I've noticed that comes in, and if you put a little bit of grease on this, it seems to work fine. When you push this down, you just put a pin through the base of it, and that holds it all together. So again, a fairly simple hitch. The beauty with this is though, is that Treg have actually made this to suit this as a replacement. So we take off the casting, undo the nut on the back, slip out the pintle ring, undo the nut on this, slip this in, make sure it's tight, and then we'll drill through here and put a pin in it, and that's it. There's some other benefits for me using this too, and don't lose the pin, Daryl. There's some other benefits for me using this type of hitch too, and over the pintle ring. This monstrosity here is what I'm currently using on the Jeep. So I've got two of these, one adjustable, one non-adjustable. I've ended up buying the adjustable one because it gives me a little bit more height on the camper. The downside of this though is that it weighs a ton. The beauty with going to the Treg is that I can then go back to standard extension. But with this extension, if I run it as such, it actually provides me a little bit more height than what this does on this setting, and it's slightly longer. So it means that it fits better with the spare wheel on the back of the Jeep than what this does. So there's a couple of benefits apart from the handling benefit of the trailer. But at this point, and this thing does weigh a ton, it really does. So at this point, let's undo this, looking at changing them over. I'm sure this thing will be so much nicer to tow behind without this pintle affair. And I'm sorry if I've upset the Land Rover guys, but yeah, it doesn't work in this application. So let's get this happening. Now you can see this casting and the nut on this, so we'll just undo this nut and the whole thing should slide out. This pintle ring is supposed to swivel, and the army locked them up because they were turning number 5 trailers over. So getting it out has been interesting. I've had to cut the nut off the back of it, and there's a lubrication hole here. So I've taken this bolt out here, and I've been spraying penetrant oil inside it and turning it ever so slightly with a big lever through the pintle. And I've got it to the point now where it turns quite easily, which is good, and it looks as though it's going to come out. So I think that's been a win. There's so much gunk, old grease and the like has been coming out of here when I spray it. So if you're someone doing this, take your time, and it looks as though the rewards will come to you. So as I was saying, we got the pintle ring out and you can see all the crud that's on that shaft, and it was an absolute pain to get out. As I said, the Army locked these up so they wouldn't spin because they were tipping trailers over, and I don't think it's been out or spun since they did that. Funny thing is there was a piece of araldite, or what looked like araldite, stuck to the inside of the shaft, so they really didn't want it to come out. As I said though, there is a bolt on the housing, and if you take that out and spray penetrant in that, you can slowly move this around, so it'll just come out by itself. With that out, I've cleaned up all the housing, and I don't know if you can see in there, but you can see the groove all the way around where you can lube this up. And I dare say you can put a grease nipple on here, but this is what we're replacing it with, and that just slides in. So it slides in, that just bolts up, so it turns. Because we have to pin this nut, I've taken the opportunity to upgrade my carport, which isn't the greatest place to have this stuff, but my house starts getting built within 20 days. So hopefully this time next year I will have a workshop and a garage. But anyway, I've purchased this. It was on sale. Machinery House had a sale on, and not only did I get a discount on it, because I hadn't bought anything online, there was a discount voucher. So this thing here, which is their heavy duty model, it gives you the square table that you can put T-nuts in, which is good because that'll hold down a vise. So we're hoping this does its job well, but it's just the start of outfitting what will be my workshop when I finally get into my new house. But anyway, we'll grease up the shaft as the coupling, we'll put some preload on the nut, and we'll drill the hole. So we'll just apply some lubricant to the shaft, and we'll insert that for hopefully the last time. We'll nip up the nut, and then we'll drill the hole to put the pin in. So how easy did that drill make everything? So we just need to do all this up now and it's done. transformed it. I just can't believe the change it's made. First observation, it's just deadly quiet. You don't hear the camper behind you at all anymore. It is just so good. Before it'd clatter and clang, and the worse the road conditions got, the noisier the hitch would become. This is fine. I've got the front loaded up during these tests as I'd normally have it at about 60 kilos ball weight. It's tracking really nicely. I notice on the freeway now I can confidently sit on 110, whereas before anything over 100, 105 was pushing it. I was sitting on 110 on the freeway. It was just tracking nice and straight behind me, and before I'd could get the camper out of shape going over the expansion strips on the sides of the bridges on the freeway, and now I can hit those at 110, and this thing's just sitting there. So it's just transformed the driving experience. B roads, that was another issue before. It would clatter and clang around the back, but you could see it being thrown off, and it felt like it was pulling the back of the Jeep around a little bit. Now on B roads that are badly potholed or lots of bumps, you can easily sit on 80 and the camper's just sitting behind the car fine. So it's been quite amazing, the transformation that the hitch and the combination of the hitch and the shock absorbers have made. It's just so good. I'm wondering, do I need the extended drawbar now? The appeal for the extended drawbar is it will make it less twitchy, which is probably not a bad thing, but it also gives me somewhere to mount a gas bottle and a Weber barbecue. So inside the vehicle when we go away, won't have much at all. So that's part of the appeal to me. It also gets a little bit more ball weight on it, so I'm not overly concerned about that all the time, because at the moment when I'm packing, it's like I need to get up to this 60-65 kilo ball weight on the vehicle. Now another thing I'm pondering, because I'm starting to get overly critical about the complete package, car and camper package, is would a set of airbags in the back of the Jeep be a good thing? Because the Jeep being coils, it works really well and rides really nicely without anything on the back. With something on the back, I have a feeling, and it still rides lovely, is that would airbags give me a higher spring rate at the back of the Jeep and therefore stop some of the pitching of the camper? Not that it's pitching a lot, but it would be pitching some, and would that dial that out? So there's things for me to ponder. I did send an email off to Airbag Man in Australia, but I haven't heard anything back from them. I did notice the Jeep TJ airbags weren't in stock, so maybe that's the reason. But anyway, yeah, so there's some things to still work forward on, and that's just me being critical. At the moment, I'd say the camper's really good. With how it's now tracking along behind the vehicle, I'm a lot more relaxed driving, whereas before my anxiety levels are a little bit higher, and maybe that's because I haven't towed many caravans, I don't know. I think more so it was the movement I could see in the rear vision mirror, the sideways movement, that was freaking me out. So I think that's about it for today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber yet, because it really helps us out. Like the video if you think it's worthwhile, share it around, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.